Hey everyone, Jason here. My video is not working, but we're going to go ahead and get started. I have some pretty good questions from Katie for tonight's office hours / live Q&A, and I want to go ahead and just address these questions that Katie has, and if any more pop in during the time of this show, we'll go ahead and answer those as well. If you want to ask a question, you can post it on the meetup where this description for this event is taking place, or you can post it in the YouTube comments, and I will read those and get back to you with an answer. So Katie's questions are in regards to food photography, and what we're going to be talking about, I'm just going to read off her questions, and I'll address those in just a moment. So with Katie's situation, here's what she has to say. My kitchen is not well lit, the walls are all orange, and the cabinets are oak. Hey everyone, Jason here. My video is not working, but we're going to go ahead and get started. I have some pretty good questions. Sorry about that. So, back to Katie's questions. I've got some serious brown challenges. Basically, her colors are way off and not looking too good. The food always seems flat in her images, and she has tried playing around with homemade light boxes made with white foam board, and it helps, but there are what other tricks are there to reduce the orange hues? Would you suggest a prime lens for these projects, or shoot from a distance to zoom and let in more natural light? I am just starting in this area, so any general tips to help her and kind of take her down the right path is appreciated. So with this in mind, she's obviously got a pretty poorly lit environment, and to get better food product images and just better food images in general, what she's going to want to do is preferably add external or artificial light. So the best option she has is to either use a flash on or off camera, or add a lamp light or any kind of overpowering light source that will help be the dominant light source. That will help with setting the proper white balance. As for eliminating the oak cabinets or the orange walls, what I'm going to recommend is, like she says already, is creating some kind of light box. You can buy very inexpensive light boxes from Amazon. Just Google product, or just go to Amazon and search product photography light boxes. You'll be able to find quite a few. Relatively inexpensive, less than $100. And you basically put your plate of food in there and then take the picture with an external light or flash, and you'll get a nice, even, well-lit exposure. Now, if you're just trying to do Instagram pictures and things of that sort, and you're not really willing to put in the work to get better shots, using a friend or another phone with the phone flashlight, and use that as an external lighting source to kind of put off to the side and not use the main flash on your phone as well, would also help create more depth and interesting perspective. So with that in mind, zoom lens, prime lens, at the end of the day, it's not going to make too much of a difference, and I think you mistakenly mentioned that using a zoom lens to let more natural light in is not actually the case. Using a prime lens will let in more natural light. If you do not have an external light like a flash or a lamp or anything, you could put it closer to the window. But it just seems like in your situation here, you just want to get it out of that kitchen or find a dominant light source that you can shoot with. From there, another general tip when it comes to steam. She asks, when shooting food while it's still warm is a challenge to get the steam. What are the tricks to keep it looking fresh but not fogging up the lens or frame for that matter? I don't know what you mean by frame, but essentially steam on your food is not going to happen most likely unless you have everything perfectly set up, everything's tested, ready to go, and you just take it right off the stove or right off the oven and throw it down on the plate and take a picture for like 10 seconds and you get steam. That's a little bit more work. Well, it could be fairly easy if you have everything set up prior to. But what a lot of professional food photographers do is they will actually wet a cotton ball and get a cotton ball very wet and then throw it into the microwave for about a minute or longer and create a lot of steam that way, where it'll kind of have a continuous steam. You just keep doing that with cotton balls, and you basically put the cotton ball behind the food and or bury it into the food, and that will create the steam. There's a lot of really good articles on how to create steam with for food photography. Other ones are using steam machines and actually using like a steamer and then running a small tube between underneath the food. There's all kinds of chemical creations you can make and actually put like a tube into the middle of the food and have the steam coming out that way, and just make sure you photograph the image without getting the tube in there. So obviously there's some ways that are a little bit more complicated than others, but that's how the professionals do it, because they're there for a while setting up these shots to get great looking product shots for their clients. And then next question is, what are some of the composition tips apart from cropping the plate, and even some of the food to ignite the imagination? So what are some composition techniques to ignite the imagination, I think it is. Does rule of thirds still apply even with food? In this situation, composition is it's important, and you have a couple different options. You can go for simplicity and leave lots of white space on the plate, basically meaning you spread out the food, or you have the food concentrated in the center or off to a side, usually either all the food in the center or spread apart the food so it's not so chaotic, and have a nice white clean plate to give it a nice clean look for not symmetry, but just kind of giving a nice clean simple look. You can shoot directly over top of the food and get more of like that symmetrical look where everything's dead center. A couple other composition techniques is get into the food, so basically set your camera like a macro lens or use your iPhone or smartphone to get really up close to the food to kind of make it look bigger than it actually is. It's kind of a fun technique to apply. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with getting better composition with food photography. It's just a matter of kind of experimenting and seeing with what you can get. Rule of thirds can apply if you have like an interesting table or background and you put the food off onto the side of the table, and maybe you have like a wood picnic table that creates an interesting wood grain background. Then you can use rule of thirds there, but it's not really emphasizing the food as much. So I would usually be more focused on getting tighter into the food, and maybe even cropping the plate a little bit to really emphasize the food more than anything, because that's what you are focused on. But shooting from different angles, shooting from like right into the food to like 90 degrees perpendicular to the food, or kind of a 45-degree angle looking into the food. Next question is, best way to illuminate the food but avoid the glare off the plate and shine off wet food. So basically that goes into just using off-camera lighting. So if you have a flashlight or using your iPhone flashlight or something like that, just holding the flashlight off to the side at like a 45-degree angle at various different positions until you get rid of that glare. Keep your camera where it is and just move around the light source to remove it. And turn off house lights so you don't get any glare from the kitchen lights or any other lights that are around. So just using just the flashlight that you have available, or if you have a flash or strobe of some kind. Next one is, I'm really in the I don't know what I don't know phase, and if you want to add the tips and tricks and to create more content. Oh, sorry. Let me read this one all the way through real quick. So essentially, a lot of people might be in this situation where you don't know what you don't know. So when it comes to finding decent ideas, obviously when you have a problem or you don't know the answer to something, Googling it is a great way to kind of get started. Putting it out there, just kind of seeing what you get in terms of results. If you want to, can create some different types of images that you wouldn't really have thought to do. So just doing some research prior to figuring out what you want to shoot, coming up with an objective. What do you want to achieve with your photos? Are you trying to sell these photos? Are you trying to sell the food? Are you trying to just document how cool your cooking is? Are you trying to show off to your friends how healthy you eat? what's your objective, and based on what your objective is, it helps guide you a little bit more in terms of what you'll actually end up shooting. So that's usually the best advice that I have here. If there's any more questions, you're more than welcome to go ahead and ask, but at this time I don't have any more questions. I'll hang on the line for just another minute and see what else we can get. If no other questions arise, we'll call it a night, and I want to thank Katie for providing me these questions. So like I said, I'll give it a minute or two, and we'll rejoin in just a moment. All right, so Katie asked another question. Like the light box, it will help a lot, but what about behind the scenes when it comes to being on the stove or being prepped? Any tips here? So with that particular question, she has the option to essentially either document the process. Using behind the scenes photos, it's you got this typical kind of shooting over the stove or over the pot from a symmetrical standpoint. You have the option to kind of get a wide angle shot, kind of showing that you are cooking, like that I said, behind the scenes. Maybe some when you're chopping up vegetables or meat or something like that. Again, a lower perspective shot, getting down, positioning the camera down at food level to give you that different perspective in regards to composition. That's one option there. Another option would be to, with the lighting that you're in, if it's behind the scenes photos, it depends again on what your objective is and how much work you want to put into it. If you are just showing this for fun, just kind of showing what you're doing, and there's not really a marketing purpose behind it, then using house lights and not having everything be perfect is plenty fine. If it's meant to market but meant to be used on social media, you don't have to have the most perfect, highest quality images for those kind of things. As long as your white balance is properly set and that everything's in focus and what you're shooting is clear, then at the end of the day, it's going to be fine, and it should entice people to be interested in what you're doing. If you are doing commercial grade photography and you need to show, how things are done, or you need to document certain things and it needs to look real good, then you probably need to change kitchens or get into a more professional commercial looking kitchen, which again is a little bit more set up than probably what Katie's looking for in the situation. So again, a couple options is change the lighting up, either get a strobe or like a constant light that you can set up on a stand and turn off the house lights to give you more interesting lighting as opposed to just dull kitchen lighting. So that's one option there. Next question is, I like to do the product highlight while it's being prepared, how it looks on plates in the 1, 2, 3 band series. Don't know what that means, Katie. Trying to think here. I do like product highlight while it's being prepared, how it looks plates in the 1, 2, 3 band series. I'm not entirely sure. I'm thinking it's basically maybe what she's trying to say is the preparation process on the plate process. Trying to maybe show how easy it is to prepare something. So with that, you can take all the ingredients that are going to be prepared in the meal and or what needs to go into the prep. So basically have everything before you get started. Take a picture, a nice clean shot of just the ingredients, and maybe just the countertop and the ingredients, nothing else. And then in terms of the preparation, maybe the cooking or the cutting of the food. or just kind of prep work. If it's maybe a salad, there's no cooking involved, and just kind of showing again what utensils will be used. So in terms of pots or stove or whatever it is going to be, cutting board, knives, those kind of things. Get a shot with the utensils that are going to be used, and then of course the final shot showing how delicious the food looks on the plate itself. So I believe that would be the best options to kind of show the 1, 2, 3 step process for preparing food. You know, like a nice little blog series where it's like step 1, you know, have your ingredients. Step 2, do these steps to prepare the food, and step 3, enjoy and eat your delicious meal in less than 10 minutes or whatever. So I think that's what Katie's going for. Perfect. So it looks like I answered the question. If there's any other questions that do arise, I'd be more than happy to answer them, but at this point I believe we've covered everything, so I will kind of sit here and wait just for another minute and just see what happens. All right, so it looks like we've covered all the questions for today. I want to thank Katie for providing her questions, and I hope this helped you guys with understanding your product photography and how to make them better. And by all means, we host these photography office hours and live Q&As every single month on the 2nd or 3rd Tuesday. So by all means, please join us if you can make it for future live Q&As and office hours. Thank you guys, and have a great night.